graphical addition and subtraction of vectors. Fine. Suppose I have a vector A. So this is a vector A. Fine. And I have another vector. So this is, we call it as B. So I want to do an addition. So I have a vector A. So vector is the one which has both magnitude and direction. So I want to add it. So what I will do actually, I will take the vector. Fine. This is a vector A, and this is my vector B. Fine. This is my vector B, and I will have the resultant. That is the vector found by the resultant which is in this direction. So this is actually A plus B. Fine. Suppose I want to do a vector subtraction. So in that case, what I will do actually, so if I take the vector A, it's like this, vector A is like this, and vector B is like this. So this is opposite direction, and then the joining vector will be like this. So this is called as vector A minus vector. So what is the rule actually? The rule is to subtract two vectors graphically. I have taken B in opposite direction of what it is going. Reverse the direction of the B and then do the vector addition. That's all I have done. So the simple velocity triangle goes by this principle. What is actually simple steps to draw velocity triangle? Simple such steps. Simple steps to draw velocity triangle. First, draw the flow velocity given, if it is given, or if it is known, or calculated, whatever it may be. So, simple clue is the flow velocity. The flow velocity, it will be in radial direction for radial flow machines, and it will be in axial direction for axial flow machines. This is the first rule. Fine. Next, draw the, you call it as your blade speed or vane speed, or draw the blade speed. I think some books they call it as peripheral speed. Fine. What is it actually? This is given by the formula U is equal to your pi d n by 60. So here, if it is a radial flow machine, I will be getting U1 is equal to pi d n1 by 60, and U2 is equal to pi d2 n by 60. And for an axial flow machine, it is is equal to u is equal to phi. I'll be having the mean radius and mean diameter or mean radius multiplied by n by 6. Fine. Then the third. See this flow direction, flow velocity, whatever is there, the flow velocity, based upon that, I can know my absolute velocity, with which absolute velocity with the fluid enters. Fine. And this is given by your velocity vector v, and this as some reference to your alpha. I call it as alpha or alpha 1, both the cases, radial or whatever it may be. So it has some reference to your flow angle. I call that as alpha 1, which is the flow angles. At inlet, flow, let me generalize this, it's a simple alpha means is a flow angle at inlet and outlet, whatever. Then at the last, once you have drawn this V and U, close the triangle. Close the triangle with the remaining vector. Fine. And that vector is your VR, which is your relative velocity. Fine. The last thing, we have to check for the key rule. Check for the key rule where your absolute velocity is equal to your peripheral velocity or blade velocity plus your relative velocity. Or the same, sometimes I can write VR is equal to V minus U, whatever it may be. I have to ensure that this rule, this simple rule has to be followed at each and everything. Fine. So what is it actually, if you try to follow this particular thing, so what are the things which are the three components of velocities which are required for us? We need V, which is my absolute velocity, and I have my U, which is my peripheral velocity, and I have my VR, which is my relative velocity. These are the three main components of velocity diagram. Three main components of velocity triangle. So these three things are very, very important. Once you know these things, I can go further and check the order velocity triangle based on your Euler's thing. What is it actually? Let me get that sketch. I want to draw it again, so again I will show that. There. I want to copy it. Okay. Two things are important. I will discuss on that. Oh, fine. Now, we'll come to this sketch first. I'll come to the sketch first. Look at this. This is the, for any axial flow machine or radial flow machine, this is a turbo machine, and it has an axis. I have shown that it has an axis. Then I do have the rotor. The rotor, you can see the rotor, the one with at the radius R1, which is the hub, and one with outside. So it's something like, if I see from the side view, it is like this. So this is R1 from the center, and I have something which is with respect to outer radius, which is R. This is what I am trying to show. Now look at this. See, I have written some component called as R1, VR1 and VR2. See, what is this VR1 and VR2? So if I draw the blade like this, if I draw a blade, and there is a velocity which is flowing relative to the blade like this, and this VR is always attached to the blade, attached to the vane or the blade. The VR, the radial velocity, the relative velocity is always attached to the blade. Then, so look at this omega. This omega clearly shows that how your corresponding blade, say for example, I am going to arrange the blade in such a way that the blade will have a positive side, that is a positive pressure side, and a negative pressure side. Both the sides it has. Now, depending upon this positive pressure and negative pressure, the same blade, if I try to arrange in whatever the way I want, the same blade can work as a compressor as well as a turbine. I'll come to that next the subtopic. I'll come to it. Before that, if you look at this particular thing, so I have the hub which is my R1, and I have the tip which is R2 radius R2, and this VR are your the relative velocities, which are nothing but we call it as attached flow, or we call that kind of a flow as vane congruent flow. That means the flow is really attached to the veins, between the veins, and they are streamlined. So that's the meaning of it. Now, if I take the low pressure side, that means on the hub side. The low pressure side means on the hub side, and the high pressure side being on the tip side. Now, if you look at it, I have clearly told that the velocity V, that is the axial velocity or absolute velocity, that is the V or whatever it may be, which I am trying to show in the light blue color, as three components of velocity. One is the corresponding axial component, which I have shown in the pink, that is the, and other one I have shown in the vertical, that is the radial direction, which I have shown in the dark blue, and there is one more which is tangential. So your absolute velocity with which the fluid enters or goes out, whether it is a compressor or a turbine, has three components of velocity. One is an axial component, other is a radial component, other one is a tangential component. Same thing can be applied at the hub side, or we call it as tip side also. Same thing can be applied at tip side. That is an high pressure side. So now V2, maybe the numbers may be different. So if suppose if V1 is less than V2, it becomes a compressor or a pump or whatever. If V1, the fluid with which enters at higher velocity compared to the exit velocity, it becomes a turbine. So depending upon this number, that is the magnitude, the directions all depends on the blade configuration and all. So your V2 and V2 also will be having very similar components as that of V1. So it will be having three components. One is an axial component, other one is a radial component, other one is the tangential component, which I call it as a whirl. Fine. Now, if I come for a radial flow machine, if I consider the radial flow machine, what will happen? My axial component of velocity will be 0 for that. That means it is negligible. So then what happens if I take V, I am left with only the radial component, that is V radial at inlet or exit, and we have another component which is VW. Fine. Now if I come to the axial flow machines, the corresponding radial component will be 0. So I am left with only the axial component of velocity, the radial component is 0. So whatever may be the I try to draw, I'll be left with two components of velocity, either a radial flow machine or an axial flow machine. Now what will happen if it is a mixed flow machine? In the mixed flow machine, I have to resolve the component. I have to get the resultant component of axial and radial so that I get one more component. So your velocity diagram will be drawn between your whirl component and the resultant of radial and axial flow, which is much complicated. Fine. But right now we are dealing with the radial flow machines and axial flow machines. In radial flow machines, the axial component is 0, and in the axial flow machine, the radial component is 0. Now, if for an axial flow machine, the radial component, what becomes your radial component? The radial component is your flow velocity. And in axial flow machine, your axial component of velocity is your flow velocity. So few books they call it as VA. I think for your corresponding radial flow component of velocity, they put it as VA. So that depends. But if you go look into that, actually, VF is the V radial in case of radial component, radial flow machines, and axial in case of axial flow machines. Now, other two components, this doesn't matter. We have the whirl component, which is a tangential component, and U depends on your corresponding pi d, that is your peripheral velocities. So in case of radial flow machines, you have both hub and tip. So you will be having U1 and your U2. But in case of an axial flow machine, you will be having only the median, or you have only the mean diameter. You are left with only the mean peripheral streams. So these are the components of velocity which we have to look at. Now what is this actually? This Vf and Vw are the components of your absolute velocity. So just now we have discussed how many velocity components actually. We have discussed about absolute velocity, peripheral velocity, and relative velocity, and your absolute velocity is resolved into two components. One is the flow component, which is your Vf, and the tangential component, which is Vw. So now I'm left with how many velocity components of velocity? V absolute velocity, U peripheral velocity, Vr relative velocity, your Vf flow velocity, and tangential velocity or whirl velocity, which is Vw. So using all these components, we'll try to draw the velocity triangles. Fine. Now what is this velocity triangle? Let me draw a simple generalized velocity triangle and then try to explain. Suppose if I put a velocity triangle like this, which is my absolute velocity, then I have the peripheral velocity like this, which is my U, and then I have my relative velocity, which may be losing this. This would be my relative velocity, PR. Fine. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to resolve this V component into two. What is it actually? You have a a vertical component of your V, which is my Vf, and an horizontal component of it, which is Vw, such that it is based on alpha. So what is it actually? Your Vw is equal to V1. Sorry, it's not V1, so it's just for generalized. It is V cos alpha, and Vf is equal to V sin alpha. Now, already I told that your corresponding relative velocity is always, it is attached to your blade. You're attached to your blade, so it will be making an angle of beta with respect to your blade. So that's why it is called as blade velocity. I'll draw this particular thing on the periphery and try to show. So what are the components of velocity we have? So Vw is called as the peripheral velocity or component of absolute velocity, which is in tangential direction. Vf is the flow velocity, and some books they call that as meridional velocity also. Fine, because it's in the meridional or flow direction. That's also a component of your absolute velocity. Now, what is this alpha? Alpha is the angle measured between the positive direction of the absolute velocity v and the positive direction of your peripheral velocity u. Fine. That is the limit alpha. How we are supposed to measure the alpha? Alpha has to be measured using this particular rule. This is very, very important. So most of the textbooks fail to give this kind of information. Simply they measure the alpha and leave it. Then what is my beta? Beta is the angle measured between the positive direction of the relative velocity Vr and the negative direction of your peripheral velocity u. Fine. And alpha is called as, already you have told, I think most of the numericals they give alpha as the flow angle and beta as the blade or vane angle. This is what will be giving in most of the numericals. Fine. Now, we'll come to certain cases, then we'll discuss. Suppose I have a pump or a compressor. I have a pump or a compressor. This I think is very much I need to discuss so that to understand, to make you understand why the velocity triangle keeps changing. Suppose I have a pump or a compressor, and one of the component of velocity, this may be a special case, where your Vw1 is equal to 0, that is this problem you might have solved in your turbo machine course, Vw1 is equal to 0 or no whirl or free whirl is equal to 0, then what will happen? I will be getting a triangle, what I have shown to the left hand side. Fine. Now, what will be the outlet velocity triangle? The outlet velocity triangle will look something what I have shown on the right hand side. So left hand side is my inlet velocity triangle, right hand side is my outlet velocity triangle. You can see that, suppose the same thing if I move to the turbine. See, this is Vw2, no exit whirl. See, my inlet velocity triangle and exit velocity triangle, look at this, what happened? My inlet velocity triangle is what I have shown for the compressor. Now the same thing has become for the your turbine, but it's an exit velocity triangle, but the directions have changed. Why it is? And I'll come to that. I'll show the corresponding circles and then I'll show you what it is. Now, your exit velocity triangle is what it was. Now it has become inlet triangle in case of your turbine. So depending upon the conditions, I should able to draw the corresponding triangle. So inlet velocity triangle, the pressure side, and outlet velocity triangle is your suction side, or we call it as exit side. Fine. Let me draw the circles and show you what it is. So if I take, I'll discuss only on. So let me discuss for the form compressor both side by side. See, I have a and this is my hub. This is my tip. This is my header hub and tip. Okay, fine. So let's move for it. Let's try to draw a blade part. What is it, blade actually? Blade consists of a leading edge and a trailing edge. Fine, this you all should know that the blade consists of a leading edge and trailing edge. Suppose if I draw it for a turbine, let me draw it for a turbine. Fine, so this is more a turbine. So let me draw like this. This is a blade for a turbine, and leading edge is having some kind of a curvature. Now what happens for a compressor? Compressor I have to draw in such a way that your this will be my thing in case of a compressor. So this is very much important to understand straight away, not straight away going into velocity triangles. You should understand this. Fine. Now, where is the pressure side? Pressure side is always your concave surface. So which is the concave surface here? So this is my pressure side. Fine. So here where is the pressure side? Pressure side is this particular thing, your concave surface. And which is my negative side? Negative side is always your convex surface. So your convex surface is always your negative. Fine. Now the concave side is your pressure side and suction side. Here it's also pressure side, suction side. Now, what will happen in case of a turbine? In case of a turbine, so irrespective of what it is, whether it is a gas turbine or a steam turbine or whatever it may be, the fluid on the pressure side will push the blade towards the suction side. Fine. Now what happens in case of a compressor or pump. The blades drive the fluid, so the fluid pressure rises. Fluid pressure rises. Fine. What should be the direction of the compressor or a pump if I go by this particular thing? What will happen? Now the pressure is in such a way that this has to rotate. Say this fluid will be pushing your this thing. So from pressure side to suction. So your concave surface will be driving your fluid in this direction. So your concave surface has to push the fluid. This is in case of has to. Fine. Then what happens in case of your pump or whatever it may be? Your convex surface, that means the blade is, that means on the plus side the pressure is getting increased. This is for your compressor or a pump. This is the basic fundamental rule which needs to be looked in before you try to draw your oscillator. Which is the side I place my corresponding blades, or the corresponding side of the blade, which is very much required for us to understand that how it is rotating. If the blades are from the suction side or from the pressure side, the fluid is there, fluid is pushing to push, the fluid is pushing the blade to rotate in the particular direction. I may end up with a turbine, and if the blades are transferring the energy to the fluid, it becomes a compressor. Fine. This is the basic fundamental. Now, if I have an axial flow machine or maybe some kind of a radial flow machine, so I may end up with this kind. This rule has to be applied clearly. So I have the same thing in my one slide is there in my turbo machine scores. Take the time to show. Okay, fine. I've taken some same thing, whatever I explained, that particular. Just look at this. So I take an axial flow machine. So I'm dealing with axial flow machine. So because most of my steam turbines are axial flow in nature. Now I have an axial flow machine where my 1 and 2 are the same. Because my U1 and U2 are the same, because R1 and R2 are the same, D1 and D2 are the same. So I have a strip in such a way at a mean diameter, I have an inlet and exit. Now look at the blade actually. Look at the blade. So what will happen? So I place my aerofoil in this direction. So in case of a turbine, in case of a compressor, I try to place my corresponding aerofoils in such a way that so that the same maybe rotating machine or turbo machine can act as a compressor or a turbine. Only thing is I have to change the position of my blades. Simple thing. But when I go for a particular power absorption or particular pressure requirement, I have the whole blade design as going to change. Now, if I take an axial flow machine, the similar kind of an axial flow machine, which has to work as a pump or a compressor or a turbine. Now, if it is a turbine to the right hand side and pump or a compressor in the left hand side. Suppose 1 is the inlet and 2 is the exit. Fine. So what I do actually, now I have written plus and I have written minus. So your concave surface is pressure side and your convex surface is my suction side. Fine. What will happen? Suppose this is a pump or a compressor. The fluid enters at no whirl condition. So what will happen for this condition? Your alpha 1 is 90 such that my VW1, velocity 1 is equal to 0. So my triangle will look something like this, what I have shown here. My triangle will look something like this. It is entering. So look at this. The arrow is showing like this. That is, it's entering. This is an axial flow machine. Look at this. This is an axial flow machine. So my CV1 I told, this is also my VF1. I have my V1 is equal to, which is the flow direction. This is my flow direction. The flow direction is exactly, so I should be able to identify my corresponding flow direction. Your VF should be always in flow direction. That's what the first simple rule of your velocity triangle. Then, now, as I told, this being a pump, so what's happening? The pressure is getting increased in this direction, fluid flowing. So the pressure is increasing in this direction. So what is the corresponding U? U should be in this direction. It is rotating in that direction. Your fluid is in that particular direction it's going, and it has to rotate in that particular direction. It has to rotate in that direction. So I'll be getting my U, and VR automatically you can get it from your the other rule from the closing the triangle, because I need minimum 3 components of velocity, that is V, U and VR to complete the velocity. Now look at this. Say for example, you have the this is your profile. See, this is your what I have told, and I have the blade like this. So this makes an angle of beta. This makes an angle of beta with respect to your corresponding this line. But in case of a radial flow machine, I have to draw a tangent. I'll show that. The next slide I'm going to show that also. So this makes an angle of beta. Now similarly, what is there at the exit? So depending upon, this is the angle at exit. So this is what I've shown you. This is my beta 1. This is my beta 2. So beta 1 and beta 2 are the angle measured with respect to that. Now look at this. So now my VR, whatever I told, this should be in this direction. Exactly, this should be in the same direction of your blade as that of your blade. It should be a vane congruent flow. For a vane congruent flow, this should be attached to it. Similarly, this should be exactly in the same direction as that of your. This is your VR at the exit. This is VR at the inlet. So you might have studied in your turbo machines, there are certain cases for pumps and compressors. Maybe if you in unit 2 of your turbo machines, beta 2, if beta 2 is curved backward, beta 2 less than 90, so we call that as backward curved vanes. And if it is exactly 90 degree, we had what is called a radial curved vane. And if it is curved in the direction of rotation, that is in the forward, we call that as forward curved vanes. So depending upon beta 2, we have defined that for backward curved, radial curved and forward curved. Now with that in the direction, I can easily go and draw the corresponding VR, and already I know the corresponding U. So U1 and U2 both are same. I can draw the corresponding U either this side or this side, doesn't matter, and I can draw the velocity triangle. So I can draw the corresponding U here and close it with the corresponding thing. If I do that, this will be my velocity triangle. I can easily get it. Now, if it is beta 2 is 90, once again your VW2 will be 0. If beta 2 is less than 90, I may get triangle something like this. If beta 2 is greater than 90, I may get triangle something like this. This is my beta 2. This is my beta 2. This exercise you might have done in your turbo machinery course. Fine. Depending upon my beta 2, I'll be getting the corresponding velocity triangles. So better to less than 90, greater than 90, whatever it may be. Fine. This is about your simple for a pumper compressor. Now we'll shift our attention to turbine. See, in turbine, what will happen? This is my high pressure side. See, look at this is the one. This is the point of high pressure. Why it is high pressure? Because in case of a compressor, high pressure is the exit. In case of a turbine, high pressure is the inlet. Fluid enters at high pressure in case of a turbine. Fluid exits at high pressure in case of a pump or a compressor. So fluid enters there. So once again, you can see, I could see clearly, it may be entering with some velocity, whatever may be, this is a V1 or whatever it may be. It may be entering with some velocity, V1, depending upon your direction, depending upon your alpha. So it may be entering at 20 degrees to your blade, 30 degrees to your blade. That goes by blade designing. That's an advanced turbo machinery course will decide upon what is it actually. And it in the numerical statement, this should be given. This will be given. So we have to design our steam turbine for the given conditions. So what will happen if it is at 10 degrees? What will happen if it's at 20 degrees? And optimizing your corresponding alpha also may be one of the cases. Now this particular betas already we have seen. So what it was, see, this is my beta 1, this is my beta 2. Now, if you look at the aerofoil, this is my suction side. So this is my pressure side, plus on the pressure side, and all the minus is the suction side. This is my suction side. This is my pressure side. As already I have told, in case of a turbine, the fluid will be pushing the blade, and high pressure fluid will be pushing the blade. So this will be the direction of rotation. Now in compressor, this was the direction of rotation, and for a pump or for a turbine, it is the direction. So now, what is more important here? How you are going to draw your aerofoil and which is your suction side, which is your pressure side. So based upon that, I can easily decide upon what should be my direction of rotation and how should I. So you can easily, once you find V and U, VR automatically is closed. So once I find this corresponding U, so I can easily find the VR1. So this is my beta 1. So similarly, if I tell that the fluid is exiting at, this is my VR2, this is my V2, and this is my U. So U1 and U2 both are same. So it is only corresponding only simple U. So this is for an axial flow machine. Now if I go for a radial flow machine, what will happen? If I go for a radial flow machine, if I go for a radial flow machine, what will happen? So you have a radial flow machine. I have written something at the bottom. Your U1 is given by pi d n by 60, pi d1 n by 60, and U2 is pi d2 n by 60, and your D2 is greater than D1, that is D2 is my tip diameter and D1 is my hub diameter. So what will happen? Your peripheral speed at the outlet is greater than your peripheral speed at the inlet. Now I need to clearly show what are these particular things. I need to show that. So let me redraw this, that will be better option. I'll draw for one. Now what is it actually? So I do have this is my hub and this one tip. So I have hub and tip. Fine. Now, as I told, this is the one is the inlet, two is the exit. This is the exit. This is the inlet. If I try to place the same profile like this, so profile is very similar to this profile. So then the direction of rotation is for a pump or compressor is this one, and for a turbine this one. This goes by the same rule. So one in the dark arrow is the pump or a compressor. One in the something which is an empty arrow is the for a turbine. Now for this condition, so I have the corresponding profile of the blade. So if I try to draw the profile of the blade like this, profile of the blade. So what is the velocity triangle? Say it goes with the velocity triangle. This will be my corresponding C. This will be my blade, which is exactly it has to attach to it. It has to attach to this particular flow. This will be my VR1, and I have my V1. Now the direction of rotation is this one. This will be my U1. I can easily draw my velocity. See, I have to know the values of it. Once I know the values of two components, I can easily draw the third one using the rules what I have told. This will be beta 1. Now similarly, at the exit, so I can easily draw the corresponding triangle. This will be my VR2 exit. The arrow should be going out. This is my VR2. Fine. Then this will be my corresponding. See, what is this actually? This U, and this will be my V2. And you have to be very careful here. See, at any given point, if I draw a corresponding tangent, you draw a tangent, and to that particular tangent, I'll be measuring the corresponding beta. See, this beta is measured with respect to this tangent in case of a radial flow machines. So here also same thing. I'll be drawing a tangent to this particular thing. Right? And this is my beta 1, which will be equal to this beta. So beta 1 is the blade angle which is measured on the hub bar tip by drawing a tangent, and the angle made with respect to tangent in case of a radial flow machine. The same rule can be applied for turbine as well as for the compressors. Now, what will happen if I go for a turbine? The same thing. Turbine. So it is, if this is the blade, what is the direction of rotation? So this is the your VR1, and it's rotating in this direction. This will be my U1, and this will be corresponding. See, I may be getting V1 somewhere here, and to construct a triangle, I can push it to this particular point. I have to push it to this particular. I have to construct this triangle. Fine. I have to draw this triangle. This will be my triangle, and this will be my corresponding alpha 1. This will be beta 1. So what is the case here? Actually, in this case, your U1 is greater than U2 because my D1 is greater than D2. What will happen at the exit triangle? So the exit triangle, so I'll be getting something like this, which is my VR2. So I have the corresponding V2, and you can close it with the corresponding U2. So this will be my alpha 2, and this will be my beta. I can draw these triangles at the corresponding axial flow machine or radial flow machines depending upon the given conditions. That clear? So this is the simple thing which I want to discuss on the velocity triangles. Most of the textbooks fail to discuss. They simply take the directions of the velocities of the triangle and take it. So I have one more sketch which will clearly show what do you mean by it actually. I will show that. make you understand. This I have used in my turbo machinery course, so the students can understand better. So this may be repetition for you. This is very much fine. Look at this reference planes. So reference planes is very, very important. What are these reference planes? Okay, look at this reference plane, because the velocity triangles has to be drawn with respect to the reference planes. Fine. What are the reference planes? Say for example, you have a stationary observer. The stationary observer is one who is going to see that rotating machine. Fine. So I can see in whatever the direction, X, Y, Z direction, whatever I want. Now the same observer, suppose if he is standing on the machine, if he is just standing on the machine, or he will sit on the machine, as you assume that he is just sitting on the machine. So what he is called as? He is called as a rotating observer. What is the velocity felt by a rotating observer is different from the velocity felt by a stationary observer. Suppose a stationary observer, so I'll explain somewhere here, the stationary observer can see the fluid entering at some velocity, that is absolute velocity, which what I have shown as the red color. It has come with the velocity with the V. And your rotating observer what is the velocity he is going to feel? He is going to feel the velocity with the fluid is flowing. That is your relative velocity, which is difference of, say, your blade will be rotating at some u, and fluid is entering at some velocity. So the difference of it is what? The relative velocity, that is observer will feel. So your whole velocity triangle is based on this principle. A stationary observer with what velocity the fluid enters, and the peripheral velocity, the velocity with which the fluid is rotating. Then what is the velocity that is felt by a rotating observer who is sitting on your corresponding turbo machine or blades? So your turbo machine is based on these three velocities. This is the reference planes. These are the reference planes. So we do have 5 velocity components. One is the absolute velocity. The second one is the peripheral vane or blade velocity. The third one is the relative velocity. And we do have 2 components of absolute velocity. One is the flow component of velocity, and other one is the tangential or your whirl velocity of the components. So using these 5 components of velocities, we'll try to draw the velocity triangles and try to, what does this velocity triangle represent? If you look at the Euler equation, so the Euler equation you might have written, so you have the Euler equation. This is, say, work done per unit mass is equal to VW1 into U1 minus VW2 into U2. So this is for a turbine. The same thing can be written as VW2 into U2 minus VW1 into U1 for a compressor or a pump. Fine. Now, for an axial flow machine, this is for radial flow machine. For axial flow machines, what is going to happen? My U is common. I will be getting VW1 minus VW2 into U. This is for axial flow turbine, and it's equal to VW2 minus VW1 into U1 for an axial flow, a compressor or a pump. Okay, so these are the things. Now, sometimes we try to express it in terms of this is specific. This is a specific energy. You might have something called as the same thing can be expressed in terms of weight or in terms of head. Actually, what we try to do, we try to divide the whole thing, the same thing by G. You might have done. So that means if I tell head developed by a pump or head which is available with the turbine, what we try to do, VW1 into U1 minus VW2 into U2 by G. If it is for axial flow machine, it will be VW1 minus VW2 into U divided by G. So these are the things which we try to do when we try to write in terms of your corresponding, in terms of Euler equations. You might have derived this in your alternate form. Alternate form also we have alternate form of Euler equation. Alternate form of Euler equation. Fine. What is it actually? Your W by M is equal to your V1 square minus V2 square by 2 plus your U1 square minus U2 square by 2 plus VR2 square minus VR1 square by 2. Fine. This is for a turbine. Then for a pump, it is a pump or compressor, it is V2 square minus V1 square by 2 plus U2 square minus U1 square by 2 plus VR1 square minus VR2 square by 2. This is for a compressor or a pump. Fine. What are these components? For an axial flow machine, what will happen? For an axial flow machine, U1 square minus U2 square by 2 or U2 square minus U1 square by 2 will be 0 because my U1 is equal to U2. So this is a condition. So now if I try to, what are these actually? What are the components? See, V1 square minus V2 square by 2 or V2 square minus V21 square by 2 is the change in absolute kinetic energy. It's also called as dynamic head, available dynamic head in case of a turbine. Then U1 square minus U2 square by 2 or U2 square minus U1 square by 2, that is called as the centrifugal effect, which is based on the fluid movement from one radius, from inner radius to outer radius in case of a compressor or a pump, or from outer radius to inner radius in case of a turbine. So centrifugal effect mainly due to movement of the fluid from one radius to other radius. What is the third one? That is once again the change in kinetic energy or dynamic head, which is only based on your relative velocity. That is based on only relative velocity. So you have dynamic head based on absolute, dynamic head based on relative velocity. And the second component, that is your centrifugal component and your relative component combined together will lead to an increase in the corresponding static pressure or static head in case of any kind of a turbine compressor, or in case of a turbine, this will lead to a drop in the corresponding static head. So the pressure will drop in case of a turbine and the pressure will increase in case of a pump or a compressor. Okay, so already 12:05, so I have a meeting. So what I will do, I will stop here and I'll maybe in the day after tomorrow class, I will start with the